Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we dig into your sources, pull them apart, and really find those key nuggets of knowledge for you. And today we've got a really interesting question, one that actually a lot of you have sent our way. Can you genuinely learn a language, like English, just by, listening to things you enjoy, like a podcast maybe, and doing it all by yourself?
Yeah, it's a great question. And sometimes people ask it a bit, well, maybe a little skeptically, or they feel a bit shy about learning alone. But the material we looked at, specifically parts of LearnEnglishSmartly.pdf, it gives a surprisingly clear answer. And it's pretty empowering, actually. It's a definite yes, you absolutely can.
Okay, a definite yes. So in this deep dive, we're going to explore how. We'll pull out the main strategies, maybe some surprising facts from this source material. The aim is to help you unlock this really powerful way of learning on your own terms. Getting a solid grasp on something that matters to so many of us looking to, learn new things. All right, let's get into it. So first off, the source really hammers home why just listening can be so effective for picking up a language. It kind of reminds us, doesn't it, that babies learn their first language just by hearing it all around them. Total immersion. They're not exactly studying grammar rules.
Right, it's a natural process for them.
But does that really hold true for adults? Is it the same mechanism?
Well, that's what's fascinating, and maybe a bit different from how adults think they should learn. Yeah. Consistent listening. It taps into your brain's implicit learning systems, the parts that pick things up automatically. So your brain starts noticing sound patterns, the rhythm of speech, how sentences are built, without you consciously, analyzing every little thing.
Ah, okay. Like learning music by ear, almost. You feel the rhythm instead of counting beats.
Exactly like that. It's not just passive hearing. Your brain is actively finding patterns underneath the surface. And the source points out, even just listening to one podcast daily can make a huge difference pretty quickly, maybe in just a few months. It really leverages that built-in ability we have.
Okay, so it's tapping into something fundamental, neurologically speaking. And it sounds incredibly convenient. The source mentions you don't need a classroom, you don't even need someone else to practice with, just your phone and maybe 15 minutes a day.
Yeah, that's the core message. It's very accessible.
But hang on, if it's that straightforward, why isn't everyone just fluent? What's the missing piece for most people?
Well, that accessibility is empowering, right? Puts you in control. But you've hit on a key point the source also brings up, the common pitfall. People listen once, maybe twice, and then poof, it's gone. They forget. Your brain needs more than just a quick glance, basically. For information to really embed itself, to become something you can actually use, you need repetition. You need structure.
Right. Not just random listening, but a system. And the source calls this the full skill formula. Is that it?
That's the one.
Designed to make things stick, using pretty much any audio you like. So how does this formula actually work? What are the steps?
It's actually quite simple, broken down into 3 steps.
Yeah.
First, you listen just for the main idea, the big picture. Relax listening, Don't stress about words you miss. Just try to get the general gist of it.
Okay, step 1, get the gist. Then what?
Step 2 is where you get more active. You listen again, but this time you pause the audio frequently. And you repeat key sentences or phrases out loud, right after you hear them.
Ah, okay, so you're actually speaking it.
Exactly. You're making the sounds, feeling the rhythm, mimicking the intonation.
Yeah.
It's like training your mouth and your brain to sync up. Articulatory rehearsal, basically.
And the final step?
The final step is writing. You jot down maybe 3 to 5 new words or useful phrases you picked up. And then, this is important, you immediately try to use them. Make your own simple sentences with those new words.
Okay, I see. So even though you're alone, you're hitting all the skills. Listening, speaking, then reading what you wrote, and writing. It connects everything. It takes it from just hearing English to actively using it. Makes sense. That would help it stick.
Precisely. It anchors it in your long-term memory much more effectively than just passive listening.
Right. Okay, let's talk about the speaking part. Speaking alone. That can feel really awkward, can't it? A bit embarrassing, maybe.
Oh, definitely. That hesitation is super common, but the source tackles that head on. It argues that talking to yourself is actually, one of the smartest learning hacks you can use.
Really? How so?
Think of it like a rehearsal in a safe space. No judgment. When you speak out loud, you create this crucial feedback loop. You hear your own voice, your brain processes the sound, and you start to notice things, maybe self-correct small errors. It's a really effective form of deliberate practice.
Yeah, I can see that. I remember trying it years ago. Felt like I was talking to the walls.
We've all been there.
But the source makes a good case. pausing the podcast, saying the phrase. You're literally exercising your mouth and mind to operate in English. And it says not to worry too much about your accent initially. Focus on being clear.
Exactly. Clarity and building confidence come first. The accent refinement can come later. The source even suggests, practicing in front of a mirror sometimes. Like you're an actor getting familiar with lines.
Okay.
Your own voice becomes your primary tool, your best teacher in that moment.
Any tips on what kind of material to use for this? Does it matter?
Yeah, good question. The source emphasizes starting with stuff you genuinely find interesting, that keeps you motivated.
Right. Has to be enjoyable.
Definitely. But also, choose things that are just a little challenging. Not totally overwhelming, but not super easy either. Kind of a sweet spot maybe where you understand, say, 70 or 80% on that first listen. Enough to follow, but with new things to learn.
That makes sense. Challenging but not demoralizing. Okay, so let's try and summarize this practical routine the source recommends. It's like a 15-minute daily workout.
Pretty much, yeah. That's the core idea.
So 5 minutes for that first relaxed listen, just getting the main idea. Then another 5 minutes listening again, but this time pausing, repeating phrases out loud.
Yep, the active speaking part.
And finally, 5 minutes to quickly write down, 3 to 5 new words or phrases, and then actually use them in your own sentences.
That's it. Just 15 minutes. Done consistently, the source claims your English will improve steadily, almost quietly in the background. It's not about perfection right away. It's about that consistent, active effort. Building the habit, building those brain connections.
Okay, so wrapping things up then. For you, the listener, what's the big takeaway? Can you really learn English or another language just with podcasts and practicing solo? Our deep dive into this source material seems to give a pretty solid yes.
Yeah, a resounding yes. And what I find really compelling is that focus on active engagement. It's not just letting the sound wash over you. It's about using your own voice as a tool, turning a simple daily routine into, real progress.
Yeah.
It shifts the focus inward, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And you're already doing part of it just by tuning into deep dives like this. We've seen the path to getting better doesn't have to involve a classroom or finding a practice partner, which can be hurdles for a lot of people. Just that 15 minutes, the right kind of focused approach and actually using your voice, it makes it seem much more achievable.
It really does simplify it. And thinking bigger picture for a moment, if this works for language, this idea of consistent, active listening and solo practice, it kind of makes you wonder, right? What other complex skills could you potentially master, or at least get much better at, using similar self-directed daily routines?
That's a great point.
Maybe it's a habit worth building, not just for learning English, but for tackling any goal that feels a bit daunting to start alone.
A really powerful thought to leave people with. We hope this deep dive gave you some solid answers, and maybe, more importantly, the confidence to try this, to make it a daily habit. If you found this useful, maybe share it with a friend who's also on that learning path. Until next time, keep listening, keep speaking, and keep shining.